Hi, I'm the unsure guy, and in this video I'll be telling the story of Father Juan Severino Mallory, also known as the killer priest of the Philippines. In the quiet town of Magulang, long before the world moved as fast as it does now, the church stood at the center of life. It was where people prayed, confessed, and sought comfort from the hardships of everyday existence. And within that church served a priest whose name would one day be remembered with both reverence and fear: Juan Severino Mallory. At first, he was like any other servant of faith. He carried out his duties with dedication, speaking gently to his parishioners and guiding them through their struggles. The people trusted him. They believed in his words, in his prayers, and in his role as a bridge between them and God. But beneath that quiet devotion, something within him had already begun to change. It started with his mother. She had fallen ill, her mind slipping further away with each passing day. Some said it was a sickness no medicine could cure. Others whispered of something darker, something beyond understanding. Mallory, devoted as a son, searched desperately for answers. He prayed endlessly, fasted, and sought guidance in faith. Yet nothing seemed to bring her back. The more he watched her condition worsen, the more his desperation grew. Faith alone no longer felt enough. He began to believe that something unseen was at work, something that required more than prayer to be undone. In his search for a cure, Mallory turned to knowledge that lay outside the teachings of the church. Hidden texts, forbidden ideas, and ancient beliefs slowly found their way into his thoughts. What began as curiosity soon turned into conviction. He came to believe that healing could be achieved through sacrifice, that the life of one could restore the life of another. At first, the line between right and wrong remained clear. He hesitated, struggling between his duty as a priest and his desperation as a son. But as his mother's condition worsened, that line began to blur. What once seemed unthinkable slowly became justified in his mind. Then, one day, someone disappeared. There were no immediate suspicions. In a quiet town, people sometimes left without warning, seeking new lives elsewhere. But as time passed, another disappearance followed. And then, another. The pattern was subtle at first, almost invisible. But slowly, unease began to spread among the townspeople. Whispers moved through the streets, carried from one household to another. Something was wrong, though no one could say exactly what. All the while, Mallory continued his duties. He stood at the altar, delivered sermons, and listened to confessions. To the outside world, he remained a man of faith, calm, composed, and unwavering. No one could see the darkness growing beneath that surface. Behind closed doors, his actions became more deliberate. Each act was driven by the belief that he was doing something necessary, something that would ultimately save the one person he could not bear to lose. The rituals he performed were no longer guided by doctrine, but by his own fractured understanding of salvation. And yet, despite everything he did, his mother did not recover. Still, he continued. The disappearances increased, no longer rare but alarming. Fear began to replace the town's once peaceful rhythm. People avoided walking alone. Doors were locked earlier. Conversations became hushed, careful, uncertain. Suspicion slowly grew, though it had no clear direction. Until one discovery changed everything. Evidence surfaced, small at first, but enough to point towards something far more disturbing than anyone had imagined. The truth began to unfold, piece by piece, revealing a reality too horrifying to accept easily. The priest they trusted was at the center of it all. Shock spread through the town. Denial came first, as it often does. How could a man of God be capable of such acts? How could someone who spoke of faith and salvation be responsible for so much loss? But the truth could no longer be hidden. Mallory was confronted, his actions brought into the light. The man who once guided others now stood accused of betraying everything he was meant to uphold. His calm demeanor remained, but the weight of his deeds could not be denied. When his reasoning was uncovered, it only deepened the tragedy. Everything he had done, every life he had taken, was driven by a desperate belief that he could save his mother. That, through sacrifice, he could restore what was fading away. But in the end, it changed nothing. His mother's condition remained the same. All the actions, all the justifications, all the darkness he embraced, none of it brought the result he had hoped for. What remained was loss, for the victims, for the town, and even for Mallory himself. He was eventually taken away, removed from the place where his story had begun. The church stood still, but it no longer felt the same. The sense of peace it once brought had been replaced by something heavier, something harder to forget. Time passed, as it always does. The town slowly recovered, rebuilding not just its routines, but its sense of trust. Yet the memory of what had happened lingered, woven into the history of the place. It became a story told carefully, a reminder of how easily faith can be shaken when placed in the wrong hands. The name Juan Severino Mallory was no longer spoken with simple respect. It carried a different meaning now, one tied to the dangers of desperation and the consequences of losing one's way. His story endures not because of fear alone, but because it reflects something deeper. It shows how a person, even one bound by faith and duty, can be led astray when desperation overrides reason, how belief, when twisted, can become something unrecognizable. And in the quiet streets of Magelang, where life continues as it always has, the past remains a silent presence, not seen, not heard, but never entirely forgotten.